Hello, what's up, guys? We're back. It's another episode of the Power Up Podcast, cultureofgaming.com, episode 25. We're sticking ourselves in a arcade machine. We're a quarter. We're doing it. I'm joined today by Mike.
Hello, what's up, guys?
And then I'm also joined by Anthony. And we have a newcomer to the podcast, and that is Ethan. I'm, of course, your host, Andrew. Taylor is out today, so I'm taking over. You got to deal with my obnoxious and loud voice. But first off, let's talk a little bit. Ethan, you're brand new. How long have you been with Culture Gaming? Less than a week. Very cool, very cool.
Yeah.
That may or may not have came through because my chat decided to mute itself. But that's okay. Hopefully, I might have to redo that whole intro.
Okay.
That's fine. No big deal, guys.
All right.
We're going on. That's Ethan. He's here. Let's talk about what have you guys been playing recently. We got the Steam sale going on. What is everybody playing? Mike, what have you been playing recently?
Well, right now that the games I've been playing have been about the same as they have been enjoying it. Slight bit of Overwatch and a bit of Monster Hunter. However, ever since E3 last week, I've actually found myself getting reinvested in the Tom Clancy games. So now I'm playing a bit of Ghost Recon right now, and I'm also playing a bit of The Division to get ready for the second game in March. So I hope that I could be able to catch on it. Yeah, the game is definitely much better than it was back at launch, or back when it first came out, so I'm happy about that.
Have you played any like the multiplayer stuff, like the competitive?
Not too much.
Not too much.
Honestly, I'm not one for competitive gaming myself. I have Siege, but yeah, I don't play Siege that much since, I'm not much of a competitive person myself, and I know that if I do, I get killed almost instantly because I'm the kind of person who, the moment you step around the corner, you suddenly realize you just got shot in the face by a guy 200 meters away who apparently was camping right there waiting for you to come out.
Oh, that's me in Fortnite, just 100% of the time.
Hence why I don't play that either. That's just me.
That's why I don't play online stuff.
Oh, Sam.
Ethan, what have you been playing recently?
So it's been interesting. I have been going through and kind of playing through a lot of older games, if you want to say. The way I see it, I want to try and fill out my backlog, my catalog of games that I've played as much as possible. So I'm kind of playing the obvious stuff that everyone has played. So Half-Life 2 is what I've been on recently.
Cool.
I know that's a classic one. And I've also been playing a lot of Skyrim on Switch as well, and that's been a lot of fun. So,
Nice.
I haven't touched before, but I think that everybody who considers themselves to be a gamer ought to play. So.
Sure. And we mentioned earlier Ethan's brand new Culture Gaming. What kind of games are you into usually, Ethan?
Mostly Nintendo, although I have been branching out a lot recently. You mentioned the Steam sale recently. I kind of splurged a bit and I bought 16 games today for $70 though, which is an incredible price considering the amount there.
Wow.
So.
That's a lot of games to just like add to your Steam list. That would give me a lot of anxiety.
Okay. Here's the thing though. Portal 2, that's normally like $20. I got it for $2.
That's a good solid deal, yeah.
Yeah, I know. And there was just so much stuff like that on there that I couldn't pass it up. And
So what's your favorite Steam sale video, Ethan?
Steam sale video? What do you mean exactly?
Well, you know how online you usually get those people who do the Steam summer sales and how it's like mass destruction but in the forms of 95% off sales?
Oh, I haven't. No, I have not seen that at all.
Okay. Might I recommend either the one with Wolverine or the one with Attack on Titan? You'll enjoy the randomness of just watching Gabe just destroy everyone with great deals.
I'll have to look that up for sure.
Look it up.
Anthony, what about you? What have you been playing?
Well, I've been having issues with my microphone, as probably most of you would know. So I've had to send that off. And also so in the meantime, I did like a factory reset situation on my computer to try and fix it. And I wiped my whole Steam library, so that was sick as.
That's fun.
So I've just been basically reinstalling everything. I just bought the Crew, the first one. Apparently it's garbage, but I've been wanting to play it for quite some time.
That's not too bad.
It's not too bad?
I mean, I enjoyed the Crew. It wasn't great, but it was okay for what it was.
Yeah, fair enough. So I haven't really been playing too much. We've Joel and myself recorded another episode of our Torchlight playthrough, finally. And I've been playing a little bit of FSX, Flight Simulator 10 as well. But that's about it. I've kind of had a bit of a week off, I suppose. Like last week, I suppose you could say.
Cool.
Yeah.
So Steam sales going on. I haven't dipped too much into it. I think I got like a Vermintide 2, Warhammer 2, Vermintide 2.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. I played like a little bit of it. It's kind of like a horde mode kind of game, only like melee style. I really like the ragdoll effect. So you're just like whacking a dude with a hammer, like a rat with a hammer, and just like flops over it. It's pretty fun.
Anything similar to Breath of the Wild? Do you?
I'd say a little, yeah. It's a little more weighty and like heavy to it because you're just like smashing these dudes, but it's kind of similar. A lot of that, and I've been so far in it. I haven't mentioned a game called Tekken 7 before. Have I talked about that game? It's a very good game. I would recommend everyone play Tekken 7. It's so good. I am like full on in Tekken 7 trying to level up. I don't know what I'm doing, but it's a very fun game.
I need to get into fighters more. Like I've barely made a step into it. I played Injustice and whatnot, but I never really found a game, I suppose. But I've never played Tekken. I've never played.
I've played a ton of Smash 4, and more recently, Ultra Street Fighter 2 for Nintendo Switch. Street Fighter 2 is a good game.
Street Fighter 2 is a good game. Ultra Street Fighter 2, I'm not sure about that one.
They keep re-releasing it for a reason, you know.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's
like
true.
the Skyrim situation.
But yeah, Tekken's like a great game to start with because it's you can just mash and you can do a lot of cool stuff and like feel good about it. But then like if you're really into it and you want to dive deeper, there's a lot more like nuance to it.
And it's like 2.5D, isn't it?
Yeah, so you can like it's a 3D fighter, so you're like you can sidestep and
nice.
And all that stuff.
Is it anything similar to Soul Calibur? I know Soul Calibur 6 is coming out pretty soon.
Yeah, it's not the same team, but it's the same. Like Bandai Namco makes both Tekken and
just think of Soul Calibur as just Tekken, but with longer reach weapons.
A little bit, yeah.
Right.
I'm not sure. Okay. The mechanics are a little different. Like you're not going to get. I'm not going to get too, but they're different mechanics, but it's very similar.
Well, the guard parries and all that, but yeah, that's just a different discussion altogether.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so games are plenty right now. I'm loving it. Tekken 7's like $20 on PC, and I'm like so close to buying it again. I'm just like, I'm just gonna do it. I don't know why, but I'm gonna do it.
I give it to the temptation.
Yeah. But anywho, all these games. Oh man, I think I might have gaming disorder with all the games I play. Let's bring us to our first topic. The news has been lit up with something called, people are classifying as gaming disorder, which is, I guess, like a weird way to say you play too many video games. Let me pull up here. I had a WebMD, so you know it's true.
Oh, it's on WebMD?
Oh yeah.
Look that shit up.
It's on WebMD, so we know the guy's holding a PS3 controller in the headline, so we know it's up to date. And the WHO, which I'm assuming is the World Health Organization. Yes, classifies it as a pattern of behavior for at least 12 months in which gaming is out of control. I don't know what that means exactly. The pattern of behavior must show an increased priority given to gaming, to the point that gaming takes precedence over other interests and daily activities. A continuation or escalation of gaming despite the occurrence of negative consequences, or behavior that affects one's relationships, education, or occupation. This could mean that a teenager may play video games instead of doing homework and end up failing a test. So that is the official kind of, I guess, classification of gaming disorder.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about this this gaming disorder? Do you guys think it's a real thing? Do you think this is just one of those headline grabs?
It's a delicate topic.
Yeah, let's Ethan. Why don't you dive in first of this?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a very delicate topic because people can get addicted to video games. Let's just face that. It has been proven. I believe that I watched this video once where one guy was playing StarCraft and he just kept on playing and playing and playing until he literally starved to death.
Yes.
It is a thing. It does exist.
The Kotaku article, I think, was like 30 hours of StarCraft and suddenly collapsed.
Yeah.
If I recall correctly.
It's just, the issue is that it's such a small minority of people that I don't think that it's much of an issue. The article that you pulled up, actually, it actually goes into that a bit, and it says that, yes, video game addiction is a thing. It's a disorder. But generally speaking, it's not as common as people might think. A person can play a lot of video games without it necessarily being an addiction.
Sure.
There's a line.
Definitely.
There's a line.
Yeah, like you said, like, you know, addictions are, you can get addicted to everything, right? Like, there's just that's how it works. So obviously that exists. It's just weird that now they're talking about like, oh, it's taking away from like, you know, or failing a test kind of thing. Like, dude, when I was a kid, I'm not in school anymore.
That's just laziness.
But when I was in school, I may or may have not stayed up till like 3 a.m. playing SOCOM 2 and not done my homework. Like, yeah, like that happened all the time.
You better go and get diagnosed, Andrew.
I better go to the doctor, right, and get this diagnosed.
Oh, for sure.
Maybe they give me, I don't know. Maybe they'll give me something cool. They'll just shut down all my accounts. I don't know. Mike, you seem like you wanted to get in on this.
Oh, I got way too many things to add to this because I could go ahead to add quite a bit of number of things, but I'll try to summarize it as best I can. So really fast, as you guys probably saw in my video, I was showing video game addiction, no fun. The idea of the addiction, as they put it, the person needs more and more of substance or behavior to keep them going, or if a person does not get more of substance or behavior, he becomes miserable and irritated. And yeah, I can see that, but here's kind of where I'm looking at, because unfortunately I'm kind of in this camp of they're not wrong, but it's like it's the outsider's way of looking at video games in some aspects. But here's what I mean, because I'm growing up, you know, my mom basically set it up to where no games on school nights, and it's like, yeah, that did suck, but it's like she knew that if I was going to be choosing between games or schoolwork, I'm obviously going to be choosing the one that's more fun.
Yeah.
And, you know, thanks to her, I did go ahead and pass. I got to go to a college. I did graduate, and now I'm working at the library. And guess what I get to enjoy during the summer when I'm in the computers? Anyone want to take a guess?
I have it, but it's probably not safe to say on air.
Yeah, but basically, I think that there's this game called Hyperforce or something. Basically what it is that the kids literally come in right as the library opens, and for like 9 consecutive hours, they are just playing this, not Call of Duty game, but it's like Call of Duty. I don't know what the hell it is, but they're literally playing the game for 9 hours straight, and it seems like they're not taking any breaks to go ahead and do anything else. They're not reading the books. They're not going to eat. They're not grabbing sleep. They're apparently not using the restroom. They're just gaming that game the entire time. And it's like, okay, yeah, if I want to go ahead and make a case that gaming addiction may be for real, I might be able to go ahead and point towards the library I'm working at as reference points.
Right.
Sure.
And it's like, definitely and it's because of that, that's where I work. My branch manager has set up a rule to try to help limit the amount of time that they're playing because, you know, you should not have to be gaming 9 hours during the summer. You are literally wasting the summer away by just doing that. You know, yeah, you could be doing other things, and, you know, if you want to game the entire time, all the more power to you. But it's like you're in a public area, and you're literally yelling, and you're having other patriots come out to go ahead and raise their concerns that, you know, these kids are not doing anything with their time. And it's like, yeah, this is a bit of a concern. I mean, mind you that, you know, we all could go ahead and justify gaming for long periods of time for one reason or another, whether if it's like, you know, if there's nothing else to do, people literally make a job or a history of it, or other things. But it's like, at the same time, it's like, no, I know that there is a bit of a gaming addiction, if we want to go ahead and call it that. But it's not like it's something that's like incurable or anything. And it's nothing that I would want to go ahead and be like, go up to my boss at work and say like, hey boss, I have a gaming disorder. I need to take some time off so that I can be able to fight the addiction.
That's a good idea, man. That's a great idea. I'm going to do that more.
It sounds like a good idea until you go ahead and get the pink slip later.
Oh, well, it's a disease, officially.
Yeah.
So they can't fire me for that.
More or less, but yeah. But overall, though, I kind of feel like I'm in that middle ground right now, where it's like, it sounds stupid, but then at the same time, it's like, unfortunately, I could be able to make a really convincing case on it, of it being, an actual legit thing, and that's actually been something I've been flipping coins on whether or not I should actually be writing that on the gaming of culture or not.
Sure.
Because it's like, it sounds like propaganda, but then at the same time, it's like, we can't exactly write this off for sounding like clickbait, because technically, in some aspects, it's for real, especially with how games are nowadays.
Sure. Anthony, what are your thoughts about this? You got
it? So I'm kind of in the middle ground as well, but I think that rather than classifying it as a disorder and whatnot, they need to go straight to the parents of these kids and be teaching these parents how they should be dealing with this, because it's quite a large thing over here, and it's been all over the news and all this. Like Fortnite's taken Australia by storm, basically.
The world.
And all these. Well, yeah, but more like it's all over like a major channel. Ways, is your kid addicted? Is your kid this? Is your kid that? I mean, set up a program so then they can teach parents, not just, hey son, go and do whatever you want, kind of thing. Spend 8 hours a day gaming or whatnot. I think it definitely is an issue, but they need to be addressing it in a different way.
Sure.
Because just classifying it as a disease or as a disorder or whatever they're classifying it as isn't enough. They kind of need to be going directly to the source, not banning the game, but teaching the parents.
Yeah.
Because in the end, they're responsible for the kids, so.
Yeah, I would mention that part as well with the library, but, there's only so much I could say without having to feel as though that the city government is watching this stream right now and are waiting for me to slip up so that they could go ahead and throw me out. So,
hey man, at least the kids are in the library. It's hard. I don't think I ever stepped in a library unless I was at school. So, hey.
Well, it's one thing for kids to be in the library, but it's another that the kids are in the library without their parents. They're literally just, they literally have the supervision. And, in some ways, a library is supposed to be, a library is not supposed to be a daycare, essentially.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, over here, library is quite a bit different. Like, for instance, when I went to TAFE, which is like a trade school basically for you guys, we had the TAFE had an issue with people gaming on their PCs and on their library computers and whatnot. So they immediately set it up so then when you go into your account on the computer, they can see basically what you're doing. So whether you're playing a game, whether you're looking at bits and pieces and whatnot. So I think they probably should set something like that up in standard libraries and then cut it off.
It's a public library. Technically, there's, they can access whatever. Well, it's not a place to say what they can or can't view unless if it's something that's, illegal. But technically, kids playing violent video games doesn't fall under that stature.
I think it is because it's a public server. You're accessing a public system. You're accessing a public, basically, library. If I were to walk in and to see someone on a computer doing something dodgy, that's offensive to me, and I think they need to be blacklisting websites and whatnot, and even games, because a library is there to access materials and whatnot. It's not there as a playground for kids, in my opinion.
Exactly. Thank you.
All right, this is a whole nother discussion about library.
It all falls back. No. It all falls still under the idea of gaming disorder because technically people are using the library as an excuse to go ahead and be gaming it up rather than expanding their education. Actually doing something constructive. Because, if you go into the library, even if you're reading the newspaper, you're being constructive in the sense of how you're educating yourself with what's going on in the world. Whereas with the games, that's there's a time and a place, but it's the library should not be one of them.
What if they're playing Mac Blaster? That's an educational game.
Educational games is something else entirely, but But if Blaster, I would not have gone on my tangent of the library and games, okay?
All right.
So let me ask you this.
Oh.
So if somebody brought a Nintendo Switch into a library and started
Yeah.
playing Breath of the Wild, how would you feel about that in that case? Is that a different? That is
I would break out my Switch and join them. No. But honestly, though, that, if they go and bring their own PC and they want to play League of Legends, it's not our place to go ahead and tell them,
Sure.
stop playing League of Legends. Or
Sure,
if they were playing Fortnite, because, that's their choice.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, though, if they don't have their own PC or laptop,
Public property, yeah.
yeah, exactly. If it's public property, again, that if they're not looking up something illegal, technically that we can't say anything about it. Unless if, they're causing a disturbance to the other patrons, to which in that case, yeah, obviously we step in.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to move on.
Okay.
Well, before we move on, we're going to go around the horn and see who may think they have gaming disorder. I think I might be there. Guys.
Welcome to the AAA.
I think I've played, it was like one more game of Tekken before I go to work tomorrow. And, yes.
Hey, the first step of addictions is admitting you have an addiction.
Ethan, what do you
As
think?
such, I'm worried.
Would you diagnose yourself with gaming disorder?
Well, I don't think so. And here's the
He's responsible.
yeah, I'm responsible. I think so. I like to think so, anyways. Maybe that's just maybe I'm just in denial. But I think the thing is, just the very fact that you guys are in the situation you are right now. You're wearing headsets. You're hosting a podcast. You're gaming responsibly, right? I mean, the video games that you do play, they're progressing your career.
Ooh.
So I think ours is a unique situation where
Sure.
you have a good. I don't want to say excuse, but you have a good reason for playing it.
Right, yeah. Sometimes people are playing games for not necessarily education, but for expanding their knowledge of the games and such like that,
Yeah, for sure.
and which
That's why
kind
I'm
of lends to some people's jobs, a little bit of ours.
Yeah.
But you're right. I can see where you're going there.
Yeah,
Mike,
people at the same time, like esports too, technically.
Mike, gaming disorder? Yes, no.
No, I'll go ahead and say that I would have a bit of gaming disorder, and culture of gaming is my way of being able to go to fight against it, because essentially that if I'm going out of my way to go ahead and write about games instead of playing games, that's actually taking me away from my game time, just so I can be able to talk about games.
Sure, yeah, definitely.
So as far as I see that, no, I'll admit it. I'm not ashamed of it, and technically I know how to combat it, though. That's the main thing, because if I wanted to, I could easily just not play games for the whole weekend if I wanted to. I just don't choose to do it because I'm bored.
Well, that's really open with you.
Yeah, I think they said something about 12 months or whatever. Yeah, 12 months.
12 months.
So when I think of me playing games a lot, it's definitely in waves. I'm playing a ton of a game for maybe a month or two. And then sometimes for a month or whatever, I'm not playing anything. I'm just I just don't feel like playing games. So these are very stringent rules for this actual diagnosis. I want to make light of it a little bit because it is a bit of a silly thing, but at the same time, I'm sure that people may struggle a lot with things like this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, well, I mean, mind you, though, how many people had a gaming addiction when God of War came out? I'm not too sure, but if it was one of the highest-selling games in Sony's history, or something close to that, if I recall, then I would imagine that there's a pretty good number of the fan base probably that would classify under a gaming disorder, perhaps.
Sure, yeah. My point is that they were talking about this has to be out of control for 12 months. Consistently, I'm assuming is what they mean because, like I was saying, or it says a pattern. I'm not quite sure. It's like I said, it's worded very oddly. But Anthony, we'll finish up with you. Gaming disorder, yes, no?
Well, considering I only played about 3 hours of gaming this week, I would say no.
Well, when your computer is working, what happens when your computer is actually working?
It's working at the moment. No.
No, perfect. All right, so we got
with that 3 hour gap though, I'm definitely on the border.
we got 2 yeses and 2 nos. So perfect. Okay, let's move on here to our next topic. Ethan may have mentioned Sakurai a little earlier. I'm not sure if you heard him, but he wrote a nice piece about Sakurai and his kind of career. You can find on culturegaming.com. But apparently Sakurai, hopefully I'm saying this right, I don't know, is being harassed by some Waluigi fans that he's not in Smash, which seems a little ridiculous.
It does.
Ethan, you're kind of the Smash, or you said it's the Smash Bros expert, and how do you feel about all this kind of this stuff?
The thing is, if you do a little bit of research on Sakurai like I did, he's had quite a history with this game, with this series. He actually, during the development of Smash Brothers Wii U, he actually had what's the name of it? Calcific tendonitis in his right arm, which basically it caused a bunch of problems with his right arm. So while he was developing the game, he couldn't even use his right arm, and I think it was because of strenuous usage. He works very, very hard on these games, and I think that regardless of what you want in any given video game at all, game developers are not obligated to suit your needs. You can buy the game, you don't have to buy the game, but remember that they're people. Remember that they deserve to be treated with respect regardless of what they put in their game. Even nobody sets out to make a bad game, right? Nobody sets out to make a bad product of any sort. And just if they don't include the feature that you want, then I mean, cut them a break. It's game development is very hard work.
It's tough.
I think that's all I have.
Cool. Does anyone actually want Waluigi in Smash in this group here?
Well, yeah, I'll give him that. That being said, yes, I do want Waluigi in Smash. But
Honestly, after the harassment, I'm in the group that says he should be removed from the game altogether, I would guess.
That would be so funny. Like, you know what? Because of this, he's just not in the game at all. You don't even get him now.
If anything else, Sakurai should just troll those guys and say, due to the harassment I've been getting as of late, I can see now that Waluigi not being playable was the correct choice. And to go ahead and further solidify my choice, he will no longer be playable, or he will not be in this trophy in game.
Sakurai giveth, Sakurai taketh. It's that simple.
Yeah. But honestly, though, that's... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
You'll cause another War 11.
Yes. So there was definitely some memes.
I'll give you a War 11.
Including Wa 11.
Which
is pretty good. I'll give them that. I'll give the trolls that. But please, so he's had to block a bunch of accounts, because he's getting bothered so much, and Nintendo PR had to step in kind of and deal with it.
Sort of that,
Yeah, the jokes were funny at first, but now, if you're literally trying to tie in Waluigi not getting into the game with something like 9/11 and shit like that, draw a fucking line here, people, because it's just stupid. Because, Sakurai is really a hardworking individual. The Smash games are as memorable as they are because he literally puts everything into it, which by the time that the game finally launched, he was getting tweets of people telling him to go on a vacation.
Yeah.
Even though he didn't choose to go on a vacation because he had to work and he wanted to work on the DLC still. And it's like, I feel as though that people are going to kidnap him just to go ahead and take him to Hawaii for him to enjoy himself.
Sure. Yeah. So I mean, if you're bothering, people about Waluigi, stop it. They don't like it. But yeah, any closing thoughts on this, Anthony? Anything about it?
I mean, sure, I want to see him in the game, but people just need to get over it.
Perfect. Could not
stop harassing the dude and get a life.
Could not agree more.
And I apologize for dropping an F-bomb. I
don't know.
I overstepped my boundaries there.
I don't know. We covered our ears. We didn't hear it. Cool. So, moving on from Waluigi, we're going to talk about some PC-style games. Red Dead Redemption 2, hot title, coming up in October, I think, October 19th. Yeah. Release date. Apparently coming to PC via a leak. A Rockstar employee's LinkedIn profile listed Red Dead Redemption 2 on PC. It's not clear, however, if it is at launch or at another date. Famously, Red Dead Redemption 1 has never been on PC, so this is why it's kind of a big deal, just because the first game is not there, and people have been asking for it, because they want to get their hands on those sweet mods and do all that good stuff. If it comes to PC, would you guys wait for it? If it's, let's say, it's probably going to not go at launch, would you guys wait for it to play on PC, or would you just pick it up as soon as you can? Mike, what do you think? Do you have a PC to game on?
Well, I have a PC, obviously, but I don't really game on it too much. And honestly, I would imagine that this would be the same case as how some people are looking at Monster Hunter World at the moment. Because technically speaking, Monster Hunter World, it came out on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and will be coming out on PC in the fall. No release date yet. Everyone thought it was going to be announced during E3. It wasn't. Who knows? But honestly, I'm kind of wondering that, if this is for real, that Red Dead Redemption 2 is coming to PC through this leak, the question I want to then ask is it going to be same day, or is this going to be at a later time?
Right.
Because if this is going to be at a later time, I can tell you right now that there's going to be a good number of people that aren't going to be patient.
Right, yeah. When we've seen Rockstar do that in the past with GTA 5, it didn't come out at launch. I don't even think GTA 4 came out at launch on PC. I believe it hit consoles, and then next year.
Once it comes out on PC, of course, people will still buy it, and, people would be more than happy to double dip if they enjoy the experience. But honestly, that it's like, are people really going to wait to go ahead and enjoy a game that they've been waiting so long for? Mm-hmm. And of course, the answer is going to be no. They want to get their hands on it right away to start enjoying it.
And what about you? You're kind of a PC-only guy at the moment.
Well, I mean, the way I see it is kind of a PC version of a game is a mixture of PS4 and Xbox One. It's kind of like sometimes when games are released, Xbox One version only has certain features and PS4 has certain features and whatnot. So I see it as kind of the best of both worlds. So I believe that if they're going to bring it to PC, then they'll be doing it kind of at a later date on consoles. Mm-hmm. I believe that they will bring it to PC because they've done so with GTA 5 and GTA 4 and other Rockstar games before. I think they'll do it, but I think that it'll be at a later date. And yeah, I'll be waiting for it because I'm the only one who has a PC at the moment, so boo-hoo.
Ethan, what about you? Do you have a PS4 or an Xbox?
Unfortunately not. I plan on getting a PS4 relatively soon. Mm-hmm. Regardless, I would definitely like it to come to PC, but I think regardless of what I think of it, I looked up some figures earlier. GTA 5, third best-selling game in video game history.
Yeah, it's massive.
It's approaching 100 million units sold, and 10 million of those are on PC alone. So 10%, not a bad share. So I think that regardless of how I feel about it coming to PC or not, I think it just makes sense for Rockstar to bring it.
Yeah. More money.
More money always good, right?
If the audience is there, throw it out there so that money gets thrown back right at you.
Yeah, and I don't see why the audience wouldn't be there. Like you said, people have been wanting Red Dead Redemption 1 on PC for a while. And Rockstar, they've always had this kind of weird relationship with Steam. I don't know what's up with that. They don't publish a lot of their games. It took a long time for GTA 5 to come out, so...
To try to figure out how Steam works nowadays, that's a whole different discussion altogether as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, that kind of launches into like another bit of a discussion. Could we see Rockstar launch their own kind of
like just like a launcher?
Gaming?
Yeah.
Ooh, so are you talking like Battle.net or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
I think
I would much sooner think that they would try to partner up with maybe Battle.net, or someone else besides Steam to go ahead and do that.
The thing about it,
I mean, I wouldn't say that they can't do their own thing, of course, but
yeah, Blizzard has already teamed up with Activision. Black Ops 4, I believe, is coming to Battle.net this fall. Yep. So, the thing about Rockstar making their own launcher, I think the thing about Blizzard, they have enough games, and all of their games are in different genres. Mm-hmm. Whereas all of Rockstar's games, they don't really have too many like modern, currently ongoing games that are.
There's open world and there's ping pong.
Yeah.
Take your pick.
Well, I mean, if you look at their back catalog, if they put everything on there, it's kind of a lot of games, but...
Yeah, if they put everything on there, but, I mean, is anybody really talking about Grand Theft Auto 3 now?
No.
Is anybody really talking about...
They could, if you put it out there.
They could remaster it.
That's a good point.
I think if the Rockstar really wanted to, they could. I just don't think there's, like, a necessity. Like, hey, we can just put this thing out, we're going to make a ton of money. We don't have to launch our own product and put more people into focusing on that. We can focus on all this other stuff and
Blizzard
make the game as good as possible.
With Blizzard, Blizzard has an MMO. They have a MOBA. They have a shooter. Yep. They have a RTS.
A card game.
RPG. They have all those, and they're all current. Card game. They're all current. They're all contemporary. They're all relatively talked about. Mm-hmm. Whereas the only Rockstar games that are really talked about now are GTA 5 still. That's still a relatively popular game. And then, obviously, Red Dead 2 will be very, very popular when it comes out. So I don't see that being as viable as people.
Yep.
Like I said, it would just make more sense for them to partner up with Battle.net or someone else. I don't know if they would partner up with Steam. They probably would, just because it's the biggest thing out there, so to speak. But
Right.
overall, it's kind of hard to say.
Sure.
Yeah, true.
Okay. All right, guys. And speaking of westerns, do you guys watch Westworld at all? Are you guys up to date on the HBO series?
Unfortunately not. No.
No.
What's HBO? Sarcasm.
It's a very good show. Season 1 was very good. I like Westworld a lot. I'm excited for tomorrow when the finale comes out. But they actually launched a mobile game, Westworld mobile game, and it is eerily similar to Fallout Shelter. So similar that in fact Bethesda is suing Warner Brothers, people who published and made the Westworld game, as being a direct ripoff. And the reason why, I mean, tons of games actually, steal from, not steal, but borrow from each other, borrowing similar, mechanics and such like that. But there's actually code that was found, or they claim at least, there's code was directly stolen due to some similar bugs that were in the Westworld game that were actually the same exact bugs that were in the Fallout Shelter game.
Interesting.
So it's pretty wild if it's true. I looked at a couple screenshots side by side, and these games are very, 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 very similar. Have you guys played Fallout Shelter?
I downloaded it on my Switch recently, but I haven't touched it.
Sure.
I tried it out when they announced that it was coming out that night at E3, and it was interesting, but I didn't really get too invested into it.
Sure. Yeah, I think they've added a lot since. But Anthony, have you checked that out at all?
Yeah.
I've checked out Fallout Shelter.
Okay.
I didn't really get into it because they're not really my style of game too much. But I mean, if they've ripped off code for it, then that could be a severe problem.
Yeah.
But then where does it become? It's like the Fortnite and PUBG debate, where PUBG is suing Fortnite and whatnot. It's the same genre of game.
Yep.
If they haven't ripped off code, they say that they do, but if they haven't, then where do you draw the line of, hey, this is the same genre, who cares, kind of thing? You can't kind of sue someone for doing the same genre game as what you're doing.
Yep, exactly.
So I think it could be a bit tricky.
So, how similar is Westworld to Fallout Shelter? Like, is it really just that close? Like, I haven't
actually looked at played the games, or just like I said, some screenshots. But it looks similar as you have this underground base that you're building, and there's each one is different, and you have I'm assuming because they're robots in Westworld, the hosts function similar to just the patrons or the vault dwellers in Fallout Shelter. So they have names, you can dress them and stuff, you can send them out on missions, and they come back with stuff with loot.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, if it really is that similar, I have a quote here from Bethesda, actually. They said, by recreating Fallout Shelter with Westworld's Western theme, Behavior and Warner Bros. Benefit from the success, goodwill, and consumer base created by Fallout Shelter. Behavior, by the way, is the actual developer of the game. But the Westworld mobile game seeks to attract players by its misappropriation of intellectual property of Bethesda. Warner Bros. Intended for the games to be similar to be able to court the same consumers. It doesn't seem as if they're really trying to sue them for the code, if that's what the deal seems to be here. So I don't know. I feel like the games would have to be very, very, very similar in order for Bethesda to have any sort of ground to stand on here. I don't know.
Yeah, because it's so.
Well,
it's
it's all going to come. Sorry.
No, you're right. You're good.
No, what I was going to say was that if it is actually discovered that, they literally did take the code and just gave it a Westworld paint job over it, then technically speaking, I could go ahead and this being an open and showcase for Bethesda. If it seems like they literally did the exact same thing with literally the exact same thing. That, if on the other hand, though, if we find out that the Westworld game, it looks the same and performs the same, but it was built up from the ground up by this team, then, that may be something a little bit more harder to make a case out of. Because, at least in the case of, the PUBG rip-off games, you may be able to argue that, okay, they're ripping off the game, but maybe they did go to build up the world just a bit on their own without trying to steal the code. But if that's what it is, though, in this case, from what I could go ahead and understand is what you guys are saying, then yeah, no, I could go ahead and see how this would be in Bethesda's favor, and Todd Howard's going to go to bring down the hammer any moment now.
Yeah.
Oops, gonna make them buy Skyrim again.
Yeah.
We will eat all their cheese.
So yeah, they also mentioned it has to do with like highly similar game design, art style, animations, features, and other gameplay elements. So yeah, that is interesting. I don't know if they'll have any grounds on those things, unless they just straight up took the animations and just reskin them. But yeah, weird situation with that, and I wonder if it even is like selling well. I don't know if the game costs any money or if they're selling microtransactions. But so yeah, I have no idea I guess through advertisements, what they even stand to gain from.
We might have to do a video on it.
Hey, there's an idea.
Well, if one of you wants to play Westworld and Fallout Shelter, go for it. I don't know how you record off a cell phone, though. I haven't figured that one out yet.
They have it on Steam. Well, at least the
well, it's
Fallout
pretty
Shelter.
It's actually pretty easy to record video off your phone.
I haven't figured it out yet, but as soon as I do, I'll definitely get on that.
Well, I'd recommend playing it soon before. I'd recommend playing it soon before it gets taken down.
Yeah, probably. Okay, so moving on to our next topic, a little bit of another kind of controversy, I guess, and that's the crossplay stuff between, or rather, not crossplay between Sony and the other companies, Microsoft and Nintendo. That's kind of always been the deal is that consoles don't necessarily talk to each other, even though they play the same games. However, Fortnite has come along and just taken the world by storm. Kind of pointed out a little bit that how dumb it is that doesn't actually happen, because you can play, and it goes a little further in Fortnite as well. Because if you've ever played Fortnite on your PS4, you actually are kind of locked out of your account on anywhere else you want to play it.
Yep.
So you have to create a new account, a new Epic account, new email, and then all your battle pass doesn't count over any cosmetics that you bought or gotten for free, I guess, because Twitch does give away some stuff for free. Anything you've gotten there doesn't carry over, so brand new account. And
do you have to use a brand new email?
Maybe you don't have to use a new email. I feel like you might. I'm not quite sure.
Wow.
But yeah, so people were not really making a big deal out of it until Fortnite launched on Switch, because just people apparently don't care about Xbox. And they were like, you can't log in because your account is tied to a different platform. People are like, what? Like, they were very confused. So yeah, now they're really, like, Nintendo and Microsoft are really going in. They're making commercials about how you can play on each other's platforms, like Minecraft, Fortnite.
Have you seen the tweets? They've been tweeting back and forth about it's
play together.
Yeah, we talked a little bit last week about this, but I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on this. Mike, what do you think about like cross-platform? Are we going to see it soon? Like, what's going on?
Where does one begin to talk about this little fun discussion? That's what I need to figure out first off. But because here's the thing, because it's kind of funny how this happened with Rocket League. Who cared? This happened with Minecraft. Microsoft owns it. Whoop-de-doo. And then now Fortnite comes in, and then all of a sudden, now people actually start giving a shit about it. And it's like, yeah, this is, another part of the ongoing story about this whole thing on crossplay. And, it does really seem like at this point that, you could make an argument that we might as well just have it. That there's kind of no excuse to go ahead to not have it unless if it is supposed to be this exclusivity or what have you there. And it's like, and there are even people still coming out of the woodwork, still defending Sony on this, saying, oh, but Microsoft didn't allow this with the Final Fantasy games. That Sony wanted to do the crossplay, but Microsoft said no. So Sony's in the right here. And it's like, okay, yeah, 10 years ago that may be the case, and Microsoft was on top. But now that Sony's on top, then it's okay, and I'm going cross-eyed. But essentially, though, it's like, it's one part stupid, while another part it's like, with so many people who usually do defend Sony because, yeah, they are kind of the best people right now in this generation. And then, when stuff like this comes up, they feel as though they have to defend Sony by any means necessary, even though that technically, with the way that games are nowadays, it does actually kind of make sense to actually allow that. That, you can have the exclusive games, but for games like, GTA, for example, I could actually see a case to where GTA could actually allow a crossplay, perhaps. Would they, though? That's, but...
Yeah, you mentioned it about Sony being the leader, and now they kind of in control of their own destiny with the whole crossplay stuff. It's interesting to think if the shoe were on the other foot, if Microsoft was in the lead, would we be having this discussion only the other way around?
And apparently 10 years ago, that's apparently the case. That's how some people would put it. Because, again, for Final Fantasy XI, when that came out, the offer was put to Microsoft, but apparently they declined it or something. And there were other games that were also put up for crossplay that Microsoft apparently said no to at the time. And it's like, is this a case to where it's like, the people who are in second and third in the race decide to go ahead and team up against the person in first? And, and bear in mind, I'm saying this as a guy who does go ahead and game on Xbox One more than the PlayStation 4. But, at the same time, though, it's like, where does one be able to actually have a proper discussion on this without, looking back and thinking that, okay, so is enough time passed to where we can actually discuss this, or are we still going to pretend as though that a console war is still the most important thing when it comes to video games?
Ethan, do you think they're going to cave anytime soon?
I have no idea. I saw this interview that some source, I think it was Kotaku, they reached out to Sony and asked them about it. And Sony basically gave them a non-answer.
Mm-hmm.
They said,
as they do.
We here at Sony have supported our very large community within the PlayStation community forever.
Right.
Typical PR talk. But
Yeah.
on the Nintendo side of things, I find it interesting that for the last decade or so, Nintendo has kind of been like the underdog in terms of their online game.
Definitely, yep.
They've never really supported online that much. What online they have had, it's never been very good. But here we are now, and PlayStation is the one that's getting all the flack.
Yeah.
And Nintendo's fine. Nintendo's doing great. So
Nintendo does Nintendo. Nothing changes there, honestly. The only thing that they're doing is just playing nice with Microsoft.
That's a good point. Let's see how that Nintendo Switch Online goes this fall. Not sure how that's shaping up.
I'm worried about that one.
Cross our fingers.
So, Anthony, thoughts?
Well, it's a kind of a where do you begin on this one, but see, around whenever it was when Final Fantasy came out, Microsoft's excuse was that they didn't have a framework in place to support it, and up until a couple of years ago, they didn't have, from what they say, they didn't have those resources in place because they were building new consoles and the One X came out and all that kind of stuff. I honestly don't think that Sony is going to cave. I think they're just doing their own thing and whatnot. What I do find strange is that an American company and a Japanese company have decided to team up, considering that Sony is in Japan and Nintendo's in Japan. You would think that those two would work closer together. But as we saw at E3, Microsoft is going after kind of their Japanese audience a bit more, so that could be another reason for it as well.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Go with the one that has the audience, I suppose. Or the video game audience, we could say.
True. And, Microsoft really needs to do something drastic, even though they had a pretty decent E3, I still feel that they need to open it up more for their players. So opening up to Nintendo and whatnot is a very good move, but I don't think Sony is going to do anything in the near future.
The ultimate... Oh, wait, hang on.
Well, I was going to ask, do you guys think this backlash is going to actually affect Sony? Obviously, they're selling the most consoles. They're kind of the market share, market leader. They got all the mind share. Is this going to cause enough of a ruckus, you think, to kind of hurt them?
Well, here's a fun question to answer. What do you think sounds worse, not allowing crossplay or DRM? Because technically speaking, that even if this was supposed to be the thing that breaks Sony's back, technically speaking, that, who cares? Because, that may be the case, but how bad was the DRM that it went ahead to take a big enough hit on Microsoft to cause people to go to PlayStation 4 to begin with? at the time.
Well, then you also saw Microsoft change their whole stance. They pivoted completely.
Yeah, over time, but by that point, the damage was already done, even if it was at a time when the console didn't release. And the next generation may be right around the corner, but then is that going to say that if the PlayStation 5 follows suit as the same as right now, that the Sony would go ahead and be seeing sale drops because they still don't allow cross-platform play? The part of me wants to say, yeah, that's going to happen for sure. But then it's like, from a realistic standpoint, it's like, who cares? That's not going to be something that Sony's going to have to worry about. Unless if it turns out that, something really big was to happen. Like, for example, if Microsoft was to go up to Nintendo and say, here's Banjo-Kazooie, put them in Smash, and in exchange, blah, 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 blah. It's like, if something like that were to happen to where we get some really big cross plays between Microsoft and Nintendo, then I could probably see that being something that could actually start hitting or making a dent in the armor of Sony. Otherwise, I'm going to be hesitant on it and just, unfortunately snark at it. Because, I want Sony to go out and play nice too, but then at the same time, it's like, are they going to? And chances are they're not.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to honestly affect them as far as console sales, but it will put a dent in their armor, I reckon. And people are going to be like, oh, well, Sony, they don't like playing with other people. Let's go to Microsoft.
Or the players.
Or the players, yeah, right.
You look at Microsoft right now. They're not only that they're doing this crossplay stuff, but they're also putting their games out on PC, same time.
Exactly.
And they have the adaptive controller, which is this cool thing that's really inclusive to some people who can't hold a regular. They're doing everything right when it comes to people and
making everyone happy.
And they're people playing their games. Yeah.
Exactly.
And they'll be all right.
Sorry.
Now they just need exclusives, and they'll be okay.
Oh well, yeah, and, and they're doing just fine, kind of right now. Granted, they're not, they're not selling gangbusters like Sony is, but they're selling well enough. And
well, they're making the investments right now. If we remember how many studios they have,
sure.
For all we know,
exactly.
There was an article on IGN that said, Microsoft is, investing in today to go ahead and have a more impactful tomorrow, essentially. So, maybe when the next generation comes out, maybe that's when we're going to see all the giant exclusives, and with stuff like Ninja Theory and what have you. That's entirely possible.
I don't even think exclusives are going to matter. I think what's going to matter is people understanding, hey, I have this Xbox, or whatever they're going to call the next Xbox. You have a PC, or I have or you have a Switch. I have an Xbox too.
Right.
We can play. We can play together. It doesn't. Why would I buy? When a new console, especially when a new console runs around, everything restarts pretty much, right? Like you can buy a different console. Nothing matters unless you really care about your gamer score or your trophy count. Unless which I hope they're all backwards compatible, then you have all these games that you can replay. And
that's kind of why I stay with Microsoft. I enjoy my 100,000 gamer score myself.
Right. Well, and then they're doing a really good job with backwards compatibility as well. They're giving everyone every reason to come to their console. They're doing a fantastic job, and I think Sony needs to just kind of say, this is the future. Obviously, everyone's going to be able to play everything anywhere. It's possible. We looked at, I think it was Rocket League a few years back. The developers were like, oops, we turned the servers on that everyone can cross-play together, guys. Sorry about that. We'll make sure to shut that down as soon as possible. And they let it run for a day or whatever. And people just played together. So, it's obviously possible. And there's just some kind of...
flip the switch.
Obviously it's not that easy. But, it's possible. And
it's doable, and it's there, and it exists.
And the legwork has obviously been done in some cases. I'm assuming Epic has done the legwork and is just waiting. Hey, when can we do this? Because what they're creating is an incredible product that you can play on anywhere. So it only benefits them if they can play everywhere.
And that's like their whole not every company, but that's like the community's push. We're all gamers. Why can't we all play together? Why can't we all? It's not a console war, even though console war is good business.
Yep.
We're all gamers. We can all do this together, kind of thing. So Sony's kind of coming off a bit of a idiot, a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
no, that's what it all mainly comes down to. That they're in the lead, so why should they cave in if they're the ones who hold all the cards at the moment or all the chips?
because they might drop back to third.
Well, second maybe. I don't know how far they would have to fall for the Switch to overtake them. I mean, mind you, it's feasible, of course, but it's like for
They
them
did
to go
last
ahead
year,
to.
didn't they?
Switch is only
Well,
1 year old. It's like barely a year old,
Yeah.
right? A year and a half old.
It's the
so.
fastest selling
Yeah.
console in American history.
So I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, like it would be like if it was being third after like the Wii U came out, and it's like if that was the case, then yeah, definitely we have a problem if that would be the case. Switch, it's a little bit more understandable.
yeah.
Ethan, any final thoughts on this?
Not really. I have somewhat of an unrelated question. No,
Sure.
I think it ties in. If in like the distant future, the Xbox fails, do you think that Microsoft really takes a hit since Windows is kind of already like the biggest platform for video gaming in general? I mean, I don't know. You know, obviously they want to keep the Xbox in the market, but if in the future that's not the case, I mean, everybody will probably just go to Steam and play on Windows anyways, right?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, there were talks like a couple years ago with the whole, you know, like maybe they should just get rid of the Xbox brand, right? Like,
Yeah.
there was talks of that, and you know, Phil Spencer came in and kind of turned that ship
Sorted it
around, yeah, and got everyone back on board, and just
Yeah.
Well, especially after, like I mentioned before, with the whole thing that happened before the Xbox One came out,
right.
that a lot of people thought that, okay, yeah, they just hit the iceberg, now we're just going to watch the ship sink. And no, yeah, Phil Spencer definitely did a great job, you know, at least trying to salvage what he had to inherit there, because, you know, when you have your predecessors saying, well, if you can't, and if you don't like it, play the Xbox 360 instead, then it's like, okay, yeah, so you just shot us in the foot.
Yeah. And I think they're doing a good job future-proofing just in case that does happen, because like you said,
Yeah.
they're releasing these games on the Windows Store or whatever.
Yeah.
They
Mind you that, yeah, mind you, if something were to happen with the Xbox in the future to where they go like the same way Sega did in terms of the consoles,
yeah.
I would imagine that, yeah, it might be a bit of a hit, but it's not like it's going to be the thing that sinks what Bill Gates started.
Yeah, and I also think that, you know, they're showing that their willingness to go anywhere as long as they're creating something and, you know, putting out a product. They don't really care necessarily where the product is all the time, as long as you're able to play it. I mean, look at, you know, they're not going to take away Minecraft from PlayStation or wherever. So, yeah, definitely an interesting thing to see how all this cross-play shakes out. I'm hoping Sony kind of gets over themselves a little bit, and
Me too.
Yeah.
it'd be nice to play. You know, I have friends on Xbox who are like, oh, I can't play, I have a PS4. I'm like, well, I guess I'll create a new one on my PC, and then we can do it that way. I'm very bad at mouse and keyboard. I apologize. So, but yeah.
Yeah. Microsoft is here to stay. That's all there is to it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So moving on to winding down a little bit. We talked about it earlier, the Battle Pass system. Are you guys familiar with the whole Battle Pass system?
Yes.
It's in games like Fortnite as one of the biggest ones. You know, Rocket League has it. There's trying to adopt it, I believe. Dota 2 has had this for a long time, I think. Basically, what it is you know, they're free to play games, or some of them are free to play. You
Some are free than others.
Yeah, you buy a pass, and it's gonna give you like some little things in the beginning. But as you play the game, you're gonna gain access to things like skins, and you know, more XP or emotes or whatever the game offers. So you're not necessarily paying for each one, but you're paying for this pass. And as you play the game, you're leveling up, and then as you hit certain milestones, like level 10, oh, you get a new skin. Level 20, it's a new whatever, new hat. So yeah, I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. Do you guys think this is a good system? You think it's better than like loot boxes?
Mm,
Well, that's the thing. I think it's the lesser of two evils.
Sure.
I think Battle Pass is the least intrusive of the of the microtransaction models.
Mm-hmm.
I would much rather have a Battle Pass in place than have loot boxes in place easily. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter to me.
Mhm.
I don't care about the cosmetic parts of Fortnite. I'm glad that Epic is doing a great job keeping it not pay to win.
Sure.
So long, I think it is good because this Battle Pass is basically what's keeping them in business.
Yeah.
And it's the least possible intrusive way to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think Fortnite's like $30 for the Battle Pass.
something like that. I think it's 10.
Oh, really? That's it? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Oh,
It's
wow.
not bad.
I thought it
Oh,
was
okay.
expensive.
That was a lot more
Straight.
than that.
Yeah, I thought it was like 30. But
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Well, okay.
I'm not sure how many hours you would have to play to level up it all the way. I'd be curious to know that if it's like
It's a lot.
Yeah,
It's-
is it a lot? Yeah.
It's very much a lot. Yeah, it's $10.
Okay, that's not a problem.
$10.
Yeah, okay. I thought it was like 30. All right. Yeah, that's not too bad then. Like, $10. Say you don't level all the way up, but you get 3 or 4 skins. Skins in Fortnite are expensive. I was looking at it. It's like, I want to say it's like $8 for a skin. It's expensive.
It's worse than Dota 2.
It's
Much
bad.
worse.
Yeah, like they're really expensive. But yeah, do you guys subscribe to any battle passes at all? No.
Nope.
I'll be honest, I never heard the term battle pass before because, again, I guess I don't play those games to begin with, so it's not like I have a full understanding of how that works. Because the worst I've done is season passes, and yeah, there have been times like for example, when Assassin's Creed Syndicate came out during the E3 week for the drop down rate, I saw that the season pass that usually was like $20-$30 or something was dropped down to like $10. It's like, well, okay, I guess I could go to give it a shot. And it's like, well, okay, well, this was good. I enjoyed the expansion pass. I enjoyed killing Jack the Ripper, but essentially, though, that for the battle pass, is this something that only lasts for like a limited time?
Yeah, I want to say I'm not sure how long.
Yeah, something for like a season, maybe, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so let's say 3 months,
Yeah, and
just for
and for that specifically, that kind of makes me a little bit iffy on it myself because even if it is at a low cost, because I thought it was 32, but if it's at 10, then okay, fine, I can see that being a little bit better, but it's still like unless if it's something where it's like you're really invested in the game and you're playing it a lot already and you just want to have some extra stuff off to the side for yourself, then okay, yeah, go for it, enjoy yourself, do as you will, but it's like at the same time it's like
Yeah,
trying to figure out the best way to put it. It's kind of like, I guess, the idea for like where it's like when an event comes up and there's this really badass skin that you want to get, but then you don't get it and now you're going to have to wait a year. But then at the same time though, does that also apply with battle passes to where if you don't get the battle pass, that whatever was exclusive at this time, it's now out of your hands forever and you're not going to be able to get it now?
That I don't know. That might be the case. But I know in some games they rotate through, like Fortnite. I know I keep going back to Fortnite, but that's kind of the biggest thing right now.
No, go ahead. Technically, this is about Fortnite, so I'm all for using examples from it.
But they'll rotate skins through their store. So, like, I believe, like, every couple days, you're not going to see the same. It's only, like, you can only buy, like, 4 things at a time. And every day or every couple hours, they'll switch it. So I'm not sure if, like, the Covenanted... I want to say they keep it exclusive. Like, you have to play 100 hours, get level 100, and then you'll get the John Wick skin. I don't think that's true, but, like, that is how you would have to get the John Wick skin, is you have to play a bunch. So not only are they kind of, like, enticing people, like, oh, I want to get that skin, yeah, that's cool, to play a bunch, but it's good, though, because you're not spending your money. Like, you're not going to be like, oh, I'll just pay $10 for the skin, because that's just too much.
Yeah, but then at the same time, though, that in case if you don't get your John Wick skin in time, does that mean that the John Wick skin is now gone forever and you're not going to be able to enjoy playing as Keanu Reeves, maybe?
I mean...
And, that's the question that, that's kind of rubs me the wrong way in some cases of the event skins. Because it's like, yeah, it's good to have these event skins as a way to entice people. But then at the same time, though, do they come back later on or are they just as well? Because at least in the case of Overwatch, that's... worst case scenario, either A, you have to wait until 1 year later for the event to come back, and then maybe you can get it at that time alongside with new skins. Or in the case of, most recently for the Anniversary Collection, they just decided, no, forget it. Here's all the skins. If you had something you didn't get before, now's your chance over the next few weeks to get it now.
Sure.
They might do like a dump at the end, I suppose, like when they're... like if a skin's going to go out of fashion or they're going to get rid of it or not, they might just dump it on you for the last couple of weeks.
And again, I know I'm missing details here, of course, because again, I don't play these kinds of games. These do not hold my interest. But then, if I was just so happen to be playing these games, is it to go ahead and say then that, Season 1 skins, I know SOL in it. Because at least in the Division, yeah, they have their loot boxes too, but at least for the skins that they have promoted, I could still be able to grab them even if they were introduced like a year or so ago.
Sure. All right. So
Do
are
any
we? Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, do any of you really get the appeal behind skins and cosmetic items?
It makes you look fancy.
Yeah, but does anybody really care? They're trying to kill you. They're not stuff into it.
Exactly.
Some people do.
Exactly. It's not logical.
I will say, when I'm playing Street Fighter V and I get to dress Zangief up as Macho Man Randy Savage, you're GD right, I'm going to buy that skin. And it was like $4. And I was like, well, I guess I'm out $4 because
basically
that's a cool looking skin.
It's basically a fashion game because, like in Street Fighter V right now, you can go ahead and dress up Rashid as Airman. And it's like, you know how many people would want to go online to unlock that skin just so that they could go to play as Airman? Yeah, a lot of people would go ahead and go all for it. And, if they could be able to just buy the skin outright, they would go to do that.
Yeah.
And in Monster Hunter, if people want to go ahead to, uppercut the monster or shoot them with Dante's pistols, if they want to pay a few extra dollars for it, will they? If they enjoy the series enough, yeah, of course they will. It may not matter gameplay-wise.
I just don't get any attraction to it, to be honest, even if it's...
It's for me.
It's for fans.
I think it's for like I said, I bought some skins in Street Fighter V, and it's mostly for me. Like I don't care what people think. Like, oh, hey, that's a cool skin. I'm just like, yeah, dude, my guy looks sick, dude. Heck yeah, man. I look sick.
That's why I invested way too much money in Overwatch than I should.
Like even when it comes to like Fortnite, they'll give away some free skins on Twitch. I'm like, oh, that looks cool. Yeah, it's free. Like I don't mind grabbing it. I've been very close to buying a skin in Fortnite just because I'm like, that looks sick. I should buy this weird gingerbread thing.
Gingerbread.
So
if there was like a mini Thanos skin that was out in Fortnite during the time when the Thanos event was going on, I would imagine that there would be a lot of people that would just be going out their way just so that they could be able to run around with a character with a fancy golden glove on their hand and pretend as though that they were Thanos until when he comes crashing in and murders you with his death ray.
I could see that. Yeah, I understand that part. I think, especially in Dota 2, have you seen the prices on some of those skins?
I have not played.
I've seen the skin and I've seen the prices on League of Legends, so I can imagine.
Yeah, you could. There are some that are like $130. I want to say.
Yeah.
It's sky high. And the other thing, I know. And the other thing about that is that in that game especially, it's a top-down perspective, so you're not really going to notice what costume anybody is wearing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in the sense of League of Legends, at least you could argue there that they do much more than just that. Like, for example, whether if it's like, you could transform the character to look entirely different, even though they would play the same, or if you want to, that this character could actually change the music in games. So if you want to go ahead and change the music in the middle of it, you can. It's like in that case, I could go to understand. But in the case of Dota 2, since I don't play it, I don't really know just like the kind of effects a $150 skin would do to the game, unless it was to do something that would just be pay to win and by that point.
You know what? I think, again, it's even though it's cosmetic, I don't understand the point of it. But people like it, and it's keeping things from being pay to win, so I'm all for it.
If it keeps things away from pay to win, then then who cares? If people want to spend money on something that they love and support, they're gonna do it. That's why no one cares about loot boxes in Overwatch in that sense, because it's like the gameplay is still great, people still enjoy these skins and whatever else, and it can still be better, of course, but it's not like that it's cheating people, so to speak, when you go ahead to tell them, well, if you want this, go ahead and buy some boxes.
Think of it this way.
Yeah.
If you want to buy it, you're supporting the developers. You're helping.
Exactly.
Hopefully, yeah.
That's a good point.
It's the only one that's worth it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And maybe Ubisoft.
Yeah. And then Dota 2, isn't it like a lot of the funds go directly to the international?
I couldn't comment there. I've only played I have not played much.
I want to say like some percentage. I know Street Fighter does this. You buy the Capcom Pro Tour pack, and you get access to some stuff. It's not really a battle pass system because it's just like you get them immediately. But
yeah, you get the fancy stage that they're going to have featured in their E3 or Capcom Cup Tour, and the proceeds goes towards, or part of the proceeds maybe, but the proceeds goes towards the prize pool.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
that Yeah, no, and in that sense, I can go to understand that too. Just like for Overwatch's League skins, that for each skin that you have, that just goes into the pool essentially.
Cool. Yeah, that's a good idea. I like how people are doing that. I want to say that's how the international works with Dota. I could be wrong.
Yeah, no, and if that's the case, if that's the reason why that skins may be like 150, because like part of that money is going into the proceeds for the tournaments or what have you, then in that case, yeah, no, I can definitely see a reason why that people would be throwing that much money into something that they enjoy watching. Because it's like, I've put money into this grand scheme of tournaments that I'm going to be enjoying watching on Twitch or whatever. So, if that's the case, then okay, I can go ahead and understand that a bit more in that sense. Just like people who go to soccer games or whatever. Anyway.
I think we're going to move on.
Sure.
We can talk about battle passes and skins all day, but putting money into those. But there's something that I don't think you should be putting your money into, and that is the Atari VCS. If you've ever watched this show, you may have noticed I have a fascination with the Atari VCS. It's this weird box that's coming out. We talked about it probably last week, maybe the week before. I don't know. It comes up all the time. It's this weird box that Atari is making, and it's like a Steam box. I don't know what it is. No one knows what this thing is. But it looks cool. It's got a really good look to it. And recently, Atari kind of came out and called a reporter a bit of a liar on his report. I'm getting the name off the top of my head. But basically, this guy said, oh, he's lying, like blah, 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 all this stuff about our console. And then he went out and put out this 30-minute long interview and said, oh, really? You can listen to our interview here. Which pretty much contradicted all of Atari's points. Because what happened was he saw the console at the GDC, Game Developers Conference, earlier this year. I want to say like back in March. And the VCS was not usable. It was basically just a hunk of plastic. And then about a week later, or maybe a month later, Atari launched its Indiegogo for like pre-orders, and they've made almost $3 million in pre-orders off this box that no one has seen in action. They've kind of very briefly talked about what's in the box.
What's in the box?
Yeah, exactly. No one knows what's in the box. It's Waluigi's head.
That's it.
Okay, I'll buy.
But yes. So we're kind of. I'm so fascinated by this. Have you guys seen any of this stuff?
Atari is a skeleton of the company that they once were.
Yes, I see a lot of people saying that, and I get it. I understand that, like, they want to, like, they have this weird, like, oh, Atari means so much to me thing. And I get it. But you gotta remember, like, this has still got the Atari name on it.
Yeah, it's true.
Forgive me if I hold my breath on that.
Isn't it supposed to run Netflix or something?
It's supposed to be this, like,
everything runs Netflix nowadays. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's supposed to be like an all-in-one thing. Like,
it looks like an internet modem.
Oh, okay, Switch doesn't run Netflix.
It does.
It literally looks like an internet modem.
He's so right. It does.
There's like a brown one. So what they're doing is they're even doing, like, they had a special version that had like it had like the wood paneling, like the old Atari 2600.
Yeah.
I like that.
And it's sold out, like pre-orders sold out, whatever that means, right? And then like a couple days later, like, oh wait, now we got a different one that you can pre-order, and it looks pretty much the same. And like, like they're just
same difference.
It's a different shade of wood.
It is fascinating because no one knows if this thing works, yet they're just taking people's money. It's flexible funding as well, meaning, well, they've blown past their goal, so this money is going to these people no matter what. But
Atari has been having a bit of trouble trying to communicate with their consumers recently. They own Roller Coaster.
Yeah.
I want to say this is supposed to come out this year as well.
Yeah.
So
it's the controller, the actual bumpers on the controller and what look like it's from an Xbox One controller.
The entire thing looks like an Xbox One
back
controller.
of it. Yeah, well, yeah. But
it's kind of like a Ouya controller, to be more exact.
It looks like a third-party
Control.
$20 controller that you would buy for.
Yeah.
Man, I hope this is going to sound really mean. I hope this thing. Oh, okay, this is going to sound mean and good. I hope this thing comes out. Because right now, I don't know. Who knows, right? I hope this thing comes out. I hope it does. I hope it does well enough that in the
Does
future.
better than the other console.
No, I just hope it does well enough so that in the future I can buy one for like $20. And just have this cool looking little box on my shelf because that thing is sick looking.
Well, let's be
That looks
honest.
pretty good.
Yeah.
I wouldn't if it just plays Atari games. I wouldn't play the Atari games with the traditional controller.
Oh, no, yeah.
I totally play with the joystick.
It's supposed to be able to play some modern games as well as use any controller. You could just plug a controller into it, I think.
Oh, I see.
Or it works via Bluetooth. I can't remember exactly what the specs were on it. But yeah, you don't have to buy it with their controllers, which is nice.
That's true. I would love that. I use nothing but my Switch Pro controller for pretty much everything. I hook that up to my PC all the time, and it's just awesome. So
They've basically announced zero specs for it or zero details about what it's going to do, and they're comparing it to the cancelled Coleco Chameleon.
The Coleco Chameleon. Yep, that was this weird thing that I want to say at an event they had the shell, the Coleco Chameleon, like the shell of it, and they put they basically gutted like a Super Nintendo and put the Super Nintendo in there.
Idea.
It was insane, and this continues to be more insanity, and it's so fascinating. So if this sounds interesting at all, I recommend everyone just go look this up because I can't do justice like.
It does look good, but they need to give it more details. They need to.
Yeah, so everyone check this out. There's a big old interview on, I forgot what website it was. That's gonna kill me, but there's a big old interview. They've actually cut snippets out of the interview, and you can listen to the CEO talk about it, and him just
Register, I think it was.
and him just dodging questions and being like, just like, oh well, I'm not the finance guy. I don't know. I'm not the engineer. I don't know if it's supposed to work. And I was like, what? Like, it's just insane.
I'm calling it. It's going to turn out that it actually is an internet modem. So that's what
it looks better than my current internet modem, so I'll take it.
Yeah.
I don't know. No matter the more I look at it, the more it's like I can't say with any vote of confidence with whatever's going on right now. I mean, if they had showed something last week, maybe that could have been something to get people more excited. But it's like, what more do we know about this box outside of it looks nice?
It's supposed to run games.
Apparently.
How well does it roll games?
We don't know.
Because a PC that came out like 10, 20 years ago could still be able to run a game nowadays just fine. Maybe not as good as PCs nowadays that are completely suited up, but I can still run it maybe. And it's like, I'm looking at this, it's like, there's no games that have been announced, or if there have been, I don't know.
I don't think
it's just that I have so little information to work with here that I feel as though it's like, if this thing was to crash and burn, I already could see why, because I literally have no idea what the hell's going on.
Yeah, but like you mentioned that, right? And this thing is supposed to come out. It's supposed to come next year, I guess, right?
Next year, yeah.
Is it next year?
Well, if it was going to be this year, like I said, I would have expected something at E3 this year that would have mentioned at least something. Otherwise, if it's like,
about a year from now, in July 2019 is their targeted date.
Idea.
Well, hopefully then at E3 2019, maybe we'll get an Atari conference to talk about their big fancy console, which of course, yeah, exactly. The sarcasm in that statement.
We're not going to get that. I'm just going to...
Exactly. That's why the vote of confidence is as low as it is right now with me, because it's like, no matter how I look at it, it seems like that this is the most, and this feels like a scam of, a car salesman who's selling out this very nice, good-looking car, but you don't realize that the engine's been gutted and the brakes have been cut. And so after you go ahead and take it out of the park after driving it downhill off a cliff.
Oh. All right. Well, I think that's gonna about do it for today's podcast. Quickly though, let's go around the horns here and see if everybody got anything cool coming up on the site that we can check out. Mike, well, what are you working on, man?
I'm working on way too many random things, as I normally do. The good thing is that, yeah, I mean, mind you, with Smash right now, of course, being the big topic of discussion right now, definitely, a few of us are working on our own themes of stuff right now. I know that recently I worked on a possible Echo Fighters article, which that in itself also kind of pissed me off because people wanted to have Dixie as Diddy's Echo or Birdo as Yoshi's Echo, and it's like, that shit doesn't make sense. But no, I came up with some feasible ones that were either too obvious or actually would make sense for them to do given the circumstances. But
Was
I know
Waluigi
that
in that article at all?
no.
Was Steve
okay.
from
But-
Minecraft in that article at all?
No, Steve, no. There is no Minecraft, there is no Steve, there is only Zool.
That'd be sick, though.
But essentially, though, that I Overwatch, Overwatch may be a niche topic of discussions of sorts, but no, definitely Overwatch is one that I do have my eye on for like possible reworks, who the next hero is going to be. So I'm working on that.
Sure.
Working on my own thing for newcomers that we may see come to Smash, even if it may not be that much. And I know that that's also been something that a couple of us writers have also been discussing within the chat that we use ourselves. So
Sure.
I'm not too sure if it's going to be something to where we're all going to do our own thing or we're going to collab on it. But definitely for sure, I have a lot of things planned. And we may also have some collaborations coming up here pretty soon, too.
Cool.
So, yeah, definitely a lot of fun stuff in the works right now.
Do you, where can we find you on social media? You got social media?
I am nowhere.
Perfect.
Sorry.
Ghost.
No, but if you were to go ahead and look me up, yeah, basically. But no, if you were to go ahead and look me up, I am MAS8705. I'm kind of scattered all over the place. I mean, for me, Michael Solseth, I'm on Facebook. If you want to friend me, maybe, but I may not accept it. But I'm kind of scattered around right now. I'm trying to get stuff established, and I don't know, maybe if I could be able to get a personal blog started for myself, maybe I could start promoting that too, maybe. But until then, the only place where you're going to find me is Culture of Gaming. That's about it.
Beautiful. Ethan, got anything in the woodworks? I know you had a big article come out recently. Anything next for you?
Yeah, I'm working on something a little bit more freeform, I suppose. I'm working on it's called 5 relaxing games you can play after work. So you may know a few of these,
Maybe.
but you probably know a few of them. But always helps to have as a reminder for something that's just kind of, because there's a lot of games out there that you don't really necessarily want to play you don't feel like getting riled up.
Sure.
Yeah.
Grand Theft Auto.
Some may say that playing Tekken 7 before I go to bed is probably a bad idea for me.
Yeah.
Gaming disorder.
Grand Theft Auto, or just forgetting everything and just trying to see how many stars you'd be able to put up.
Are these games currently out? Like you could play right away, or are we talking about future games as well?
No. They're mostly they're games either very, very new,
Okay.
kind of old. There's nothing past like the last 10 years or so. but
Because I don't know if you've seen the Tetris effect at all.
I have.
That game looks amazing to play before bedtime.
I'm not sure if that looks stressful or relaxing.
I will put it on I'm just gonna play in the slowest mode possible and just stack some bricks before I go to bed.
But that's that article that I'm writing actually a two-parter. I'm planning on doing 5. Might be a bit long if I smashed all 10 in together. So
Cool.
I'd be
Can we find you on social media anywhere?
Yes, sir. I am at Linka Choo Choo on Twitter. That is LINKADHUCHU.
Perfect.
And I retweet a lot of Smash Brothers related stuff.
Cool.
Cool.
Anthony, what can we expect from you? Any good videos coming up?
Well, I'm doing a Fallout / Westworld kind of situation, maybe.
Cool.
See how
That's a good time to roll.
I'll be interested in that one.
Yeah, well, might take a little bit of editing, but we'll see. We have recently launched a Patreon, for those of you who don't know. That's currently up and running, and I'm going to be putting something on the site for that. And it's like all over Twitter, and I'm like following the tips and whatnot that they're telling us to do. So if you see a heap of Patreon stuff, apologies, but Patreon told me to do it. But apart from that, not really. Just constant site work and whatnot. So
Cool.
I'm not really on social media either. So
Yep. Yeah, cool. So I just put out another episode of White Whaling, which is my series where I play older games that I kind of got away from me that I haven't beaten. This one was a doozy. It was a really frustrating episode for me, not only to play but to edit because the software I use is not good, and the audio got out of sync. So I apologize. I did a little apology in the beginning of that video, but if you can bear through some of the desync audio, it's a good one, I promise. So you can find me at Duronski, that's Duronski, and this has been the 25th episode of the Power Up Podcast. That's it. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at cog.net. There's a community Discord which you can join. You can talk to most of us here and say what's up. And if you're feeling generous, go over to patreon.com, look us up on the little search bar, throw us a few bucks. No problem if you don't want to do it.
Help us!
We appreciate it. Thank you for watching, guys, and we will see you next Saturday, same time, same place. See you then.
Bye.